So, Madman,
Yes, sir.
how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's almost the weekend, so that's good.
Good. Yeah, right. Can't wait for that.
Tell me about
So,
it.
it's been a while since we've done a Who the Hell Is, and we thought that
Yeah,
tonight would
yeah.
be a good one. I asked you what kind of content you wanted to put out this week, and you said, let's do one of these. So, I like it, because I really
Mhm.
like that we get to go behind the scenes and kind of pick each other's brains.
Right.
Why do we like these characters? How did the character come about, and all that. So, before we get started, let's just remind everybody we love our fans. We thank our
Yes, we do.
fans. And,
Mhm.
the best support you can get us is to share the show, share the show, share the show. We always
Exactly.
say, the growth is the most important thing, is that we get more listeners. The show is free. We love doing it. Tell everybody, but the show's not free to produce. So, we have some extra special content that we put on Patreon. So if you'd like to support us, man, there's 2 or 3 tiers there that you can go for, and you get special gifts with the highest tier, but you're going to get all kinds of cool content behind the scenes, a couple of
Oh
good
yeah.
shows. We do the Dead of Night with Darwin Gallows, and the
And
the
you know,
autopsy.
yeah, the autopsy stuff. Um, I like the coroner reports. I think they're
Yeah,
cool. This latest one was really, really good.
yeah, where we found out about the nubs, that maybe whatever's going on in their stomachs might be the true evil. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You know, and that's a real behind the scene thing. With all the things that are lurking in Nevermore. But yeah, and we really appreciate our Patreon people,
yeah.
because and I think they enjoy getting the extra stuff,
Yeah.
and I think we have fun doing it. So
Yeah, because we got a new T-shirt we need to think about getting out to the high tier, to the top tier people. They
yes,
got 2 T-shirts last year, and they got a couple of them got some our mugs and some art and all that kind of stuff. But
right,
yeah, so if you're so inclined, for those of you who are listening, as you can tell, we try to put things on the Patreon that gives you a deeper insight to the characters and to the monsters, and it helps build the immersive lore of the show. So if you can, just go over there. Every little bit helps, or you can buy us a coffee, and the links are in the show notes. So other than
okay.
that, I'll say this one before we go on. Chris is becoming quite the writer. He's been doing our dossiers for us on that. What we do is, one of the things we do is we have characters that we do an official police dossier on, and we get a behind the scenes look there of
Yep.
what we the character, and are they a threat, and where there's a threat level assessment and all that kind of stuff. So you've been doing those, Chris. Those you've been doing great, man. I appreciate you doing
I
that.
like those. I like those. And again, it's fleshing out the characters that we come up with, and I like doing those. I like writing commercials, which is weird.
Look, the
Uh,
commercials are fun. To me, I got to tell you, the commercials are so fun to write, to record, to put the music to. What's your favorite commercial?
well, it's one that nobody's heard yet because we just recorded it, but it's Pickle Possum Moonshine is by, especially our buddy John did the voiceover for it, and it was so good. I actually
Yeah.
had to call him and tell him how much I loved it. But listening to him do it gave me stuff to start drawing.
Yeah.
So that might be a T-shirt. Um, I like doing the Lamentation Brothers.
Oh, those are
Uh,
fun ones. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I think I had this idea that I'll just throw out here right now, that we could start doing a community calendar for
Yes, I love it.
Nevermore and just
Yeah.
have the weirdest, or like, well, okay, like like they do, like Lost and Found and stuff like that. I mean, just
Yeah.
you know found a three-eyed dog, you know on so and so street. If this is your dog, please come get it because he's just unnerving.
So
Um,
while I love that, I'll tell you one of the things that you get when you listen to some of our behind the scenes stuff on Patreon is you get to hear and as on this show right here that we're getting ready to do, Who the Hell Is, you'll see why we put certain things in the show because they're things that we remember we grew up with. So to play off of what you just said, Chris, is when I
yeah,
was little, I can remember standing in the living room on Saturday afternoon, and my dad would be watching a local access. This is like
yeah,
1975, 76, whatever. And there were these three old guys sitting at a desk, right?
huh?
Somewhere locally, and they were just old country guys. And it was called the Athens, Tennessee Swap and Shop, right?
Yeah, Wop and Chop. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's kind of what you're
yeah.
getting, almost like a community counter.
I
So we
remember
could do
that.
that. So it'd be like, hey, this here's Alan Wattenbarger, and we got my buddy here, Chris Goins, and if
Yeah,
you need a tranny to a 1969 Daytona Dodge, well, you just call us in. We'll hook you up with the guy who's got that for sale. And back then, tranny meant something totally different.
yeah. It don't mean what it means now, and that's what I was laughing about. If you need a tranny, no.
Yeah. So
Um,
we could do a Nevermore Hollows swap and shop. And what would they swap? What in Nevermore Hollows?
dude,
What weird things would you swap and shop in Nevermore Hollows?
wanted 50-gallon cauldron. You know, must be
Right,
well seasoned. You
right.
know, I've got I've got what goblin skulls for sale.
Yeah.
I mean, just weirdo stuff. And just
And see, so how it would work for those who are listening, just like what he said, he would say, we have a 50-gallon cauldron for sale, well seasoned. And then they'd go, all right, for all y'all, you just heard that. If you want that 50-gallon cauldron, you call in to the swapping shop and we'll hook you people together so you can get that. It was just these dudes they had such a blast that they were really selling things. This is pre-internet, obviously.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
this is like Facebook marketplace, but
yeah,
before internet, before any of this stuff, and and the things, especially in Nevermore, the things that
yeah.
you could buy and sell, God help us.
Right. You could
Uh,
say the Brousseau sisters has got some mud for sale. It's special mud that they dug up and worked a little bit of magic. So if you want some Brousseau sisters mud, you just call in to the Nevermore
just
Hollow Swapping Shop.
that could be another radio show
Yes, let's
for
do
you
it.
know,
I know
and
John right now, when he hears this, he's going to go, damn, not another show I'm going to get wrapped into being on.
I'm trying to take a break.
So that's what we got to do right there is we get Brother Matthew Orton. I mean, we don't include him enough because he's such a busy man. He's got so much good stuff going on with his show. He was
Yeah.
recently, and for those of you who don't remember who we're talking about, Matthew Orton at the Drunken Cryptids podcast, check him out. We love him. He's a
Oh yeah,
brother.
good. Hmm.
He's been out on a Bigfoot hunt recently, been sharing some pictures with us that are pretty
Yeah,
awesome. So,
yeah, and
uh,
he finds stuff. This ain't
yeah,
like watching Finding Bigfoot. Matthew
right.
goes out and sees stuff,
That's right.
and I
He
trust
takes
him.
it serious. He takes it right, and that's the thing. Not only does he take it serious, but we trust him. If he shows us
Yeah.
something, that means he's trying to vet it and make sure it's legit.
Oh yeah, yeah. And him and his crew are awesome guys. They're most of them are former military,
Yep.
and so I believe when they say they saw stuff. And he's a good interviewer as well. His show is very good. It's award winning.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah. That's right. He did win some awards. Yeah. So
yeah.
look. So let's just say this right now. We ride brother Matthew hard on some of our shows. These
Yeah,
so for those of you who don't do the Patreon with us, we do the Dead of Night with Darwin Gallows, and what we started doing is whether the call in interviewer is serious or if it's silly. The very first thing we do is we do this one. We got time for
yeah.
one more caller,
One more
right?
caller.
And so that's all improv, and we're letting that out right
Oh
now. Not
yeah,
a lot of people know that. So what happens is Chris is always Kevin, and
yeah.
Kevin gives us we got a caller on the line that says he saw a chupacabra in a garbage can. Now what
Right.
happens there, unedited, John and I have to go right into that, and we have to improv a
Right.
scene off of what you give us, Chris, right?
And you guys, I have to mute because I'm laughing so hard at what you guys are saying, and our recent one where I said there's a caller on the line that killed the Mothman with his bug zapper, that turned into a commercial
Yeah,
that John did that you guys will hear soon, you Patreon people. But it was just I had to mute because I was laughing so hard because Alan just slid into this voice, man, and it was so good. And and then your son Ethan
yeah,
recently on one of the shows was brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant as
yeah,
this character that he came up with. And man, it was so good. So you guys, Patreon, seriously, you guys are missing out if you're not on Patreon because we're doing some good stuff. We do. Nevermore Hollows is really, really good. But our Patreon stuff, it's funny.
yeah.
It's really funny.
So we delve into the comedy more there, and like I said, the Dead of Night with Darwin Gallows, it's based on the old Art Bell radio show where they would call in and talk. And so what we do is we take characters from the stories or from Nevermore Hollows, and they call in, and then John, who plays Darwin Gallows, will interview them. Now, most of these that we've already got out there are serious. We're giving insight to the characters, to the town, and all that. But the last two or three have been more comedy driven.
Yes,
Yeah,
and they're funny. And then we also have started making commercials for businesses in Nevermore Hollows,
yeah.
um, and which to me that just adds another layer to the town. It's I love doing stuff like that. It
Yeah,
really I really love it. I really do.
like what you were saying earlier, we that came up. So we do those every episode. You get at least two um, Nevermore Hollows commercials, and we try to make one a brand new one. And
Yeah.
so those are fun to do as well. Some of those are, I think my favorite one for you that you've done is the Lamentation Brothers funeral home because
Yeah.
you do Otto so well. Otto is such a clearly defined character because of the way you voice him, and
Well,
that little laugh you do, that little nervous laugh that you give him.
every time I do that, and John, anytime I can do that and make John giggle,
Yeah.
it's worth it. I like Pennywise ice cream parlor. I
That's
think that
probably
was a
that's
really
tied to
good
my
one.
favorite one because of how we wrote that, and we're doing the play on Stephen King's It. Now, we
Yep.
love Stephen King, we love
Oh,
It, so that's our little homage to him. But for those of you who have been fans of the show for a while, obviously we have Pennywise Ice Cream Parlor. Well, there's a
mm,
commercial for it.
right.
And Chris
Um,
does an amazing voice on it. He sounds
well,
out so nice and sweet, and right there at the end, when you go into that other voice, it's classic, man.
that was all one take. I mean, it was
One
so
freaking take, yes.
that it was just so much fun to do. I love doing that announcer voice, anyways. But I like doing all the voices. I'm having such a good time voicing monsters and townspeople and whatever else. Um, this is fun for me. This is what I love to do. Um, and so again, you guys got to go on Patreon. And here's our tiers aren't that expensive. We've tried to make them, um, where people can afford them.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
that top
but
tier to add to it, because the top tier, if you're gonna we take your time seriously, so we want to offer the
right,
best
right,
product possible. But that top tier, we know it's a we're asking for something there to help us fund the show, but we give you
right.
stuff. Like I said, you get a care package which includes a T-shirt, another piece of merchandise, art, lanyard, and then at Halloween, if you're a continued top tier, you get a Halloween shirt
Yeah. And that lanyard has a an all access pass to the bunker.
to
So,
Lafayette's bunker. Yeah,
that's gold right there.
All right.
And
So
we're gonna keep adding to it. So there's gonna be more stuff. So
yeah, yeah. We got some good stuff planned. So anyway, so that, obviously thank you for letting us
yes,
talk about
thank
all the
you.
good stuff, because as you can tell, we're not just pitching the show. We're excited about what we're talking about and having fun. So
Mhm.
all right, so tonight is another Who the Hell Is episode. So you chose to speak
I
about.
chose from our one of our latest episodes, the lunch lady and her son Scannie,
Yeah,
the two ghosts from the abandoned middle school. Um, it was it's an '80s slasher film, paranormal film, cross between that and Scooby Doo, and you throw in Psycho Juju and some song lyrics and a handful of teenagers who are trying to do what teenagers do, which is pretty something stupid on Halloween, and
yeah,
just it is just magic. Yeah, I've listened, like I told you a while ago, I've listened to it like 5 or 6 times.
good.
Uh,
Well, I love writing the P, the Psycho Juju. We call him PJ, but the Psycho
yeah,
Juju episodes. Those are the most fun for me to write because it allows me. I voice Psycho Juju,
right,
and
right.
I can't wait to hear the way you do it, because we've just not let you do it yet. But because I worked on that, I guess I hold that voice so dear to me, because that's the
Oh, that's
first
huge,
voice.
man.
Yeah, because that's the
Yeah,
first voice that I
I like
actually
it.
created, and
Right.
doing the little monkey inflections and all that. But anyway,
Yeah, that's cool.
so Psycho Juju shows up on Halloween night at Cronenberg Middle School.
Berg Middle School.
And for those of you who are horror fans, you know who we're talking about. We're talking about Cronenberg, the guy who did The Fly, the Scanners, so that's our nod. That's our nod to his work. And
Right.
so it's called Cronenberg Middle School. And when I started writing this particular episode, it was supposed to be just Psycho Juju. He
Right.
shows up. So these kids, it's this abandoned school, and they're there to taunt the lunch lady, because the lunch lady is a supposed ghost that haunts Cronenberg Middle School. And then
Yep.
Psycho Juju was going to show up, and it was just going to be about Psycho Juju, his crazy clowns, because he always has a single clown, but in this one
Yeah.
he had multiple clowns. It's the first time
Yeah.
we've seen Psycho Juju with multiple clowns, and it was supposed to be him and the lunch lady and the clowns wreaking havoc. Well, as I got into the story, I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing a great opportunity here to either
Yeah.
make a nod towards The Fly or
Mm-hmm.
Scanners or one of his other movies. So it
Right.
hit me, let's just do Scanners. So then as I was sitting there working through, well, how do we make that nod through, it just kind of started coming and organically scanning. So they're called the Cronenberg Scanners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because that sounded cooler than the Cronenberg Flies, right? So, because I went down that line. I was going, okay, so then the mascot would have been a fly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A
Oh,
mutant
that's
fly, which is
cool.
cool. That's still cool. But what does it do? What does it do? What can that monster do? And I couldn't figure it
Well,
out, right?
he also, threw in there what Scanny does, and only guys our age will know what an M80 is. And you threw two of them in there. That's going to be a big boom, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I was thinking,
what
nowadays M80s, they're so tame
and
nowadays versus
90. Yeah,
we literally had well, you're right, an M80. Back in the day, an M80 was basically a hand grenade.
yeah. It's an eighth of a stick of dynamite is what they are. And that would take a mailbox completely over a house.
Right. So I get to
I don't
writing.
know anything about it.
Yeah, it sounds like you know what you're talking about there. So I was writing this character, and I was like, well, I need this character. I need this character. If he's going to be a monster, he needs to do something terrifying. So then that got me to the movie Scanners blowing up heads, telekinetically and all that. So I thought, all right, so that's it. So then what does it look like? Well, it's got to be a caricature with the gloves, the big head, but it's also got to be a nod towards the old. If you go in there, if you go on the internet and you type in that movie and you look at its poster, the poster is, the guy with the white shirt, the black vest. So it's a play on that, but his head is really overtly large, with the bulging eyes and all that. So I've challenged you, which, you've already done a sketch, is to, let's make it as cartoony as possible, because it's that juxtaposition of the cartoon and the absurd with the horror that I love. That's the thing that you and I play with a lot on this show. Kind of the incongruity of the absurd, the silly, and the terror are.
Right.
So when I came up with that character, I was like, well, hell, this is going to be basically, it's instantly one of my favorite characters.
Mine too. Yeah.
I thought the lunch lady was going to be an amazing character, but he overshines the lunch lady in this story.
Well, I think the fact that he doesn't say anything, silence is scary. And the fact that he's this ghostly thing still in this costume, and the costume is so over the top, with the big round head and the big round eyes. And, but, I like that you put in about the line of sight. I thought that was really good. And, but that he could just, he can just show up. And he's actually the more dangerous, I think, character than even the lunch lady. She's very dangerous, and she's this ghoulish lunch lady that will, rip your eyeballs out with a melon puller.
Again, there's the absurdity of it, right? It's got to be absurd, but it's got to be scary. And that's the challenge for me as a writer. We've talked about that before, and now you play such a big role in helping define these stories. We're always challenging each other. How can we take the silly or the absurd? But, at the end of the day, when you write that story, you go, damn, that wasn't stupid, right? It was cool.
No, Leatherface has his chainsaw, and the lunch lady has her melon baller, and to be honest with you, it's a little more intimate. She's going to have to get up close and personal to do that to you, and it's going to hurt,
right.
But I love the concept of her, and in my head, she's, like I said, she's all zombied out with a hairnet, and flies buzzing, and she's still got her rubber gloves on, and all that stuff. And she has to have a pearl necklace,
and your concept art on that was pretty cool too. You sent me that, right?
Yeah. I want to do a more refined one. That might be in.
I got it right here. Yeah. So I want of course, you're not going to be able to see it. We'll have to put it in the we'll have to put it in the show notes or something. But there you go. That's for those of you who look at the video. That's the concept art of the lunch lady. I'll show you the concept art for Scannie at the moment, and so there you go. Of course, we're old school. We could just make this pop up on the video, but this is more fun. So. Right. But so anyway, go ahead. So you're talking about the lunch lady.
Well, she's I think she is the legend. This lunch lady, she snapped one day, killed a bunch of kids, maimed an assistant principal, and that's going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
But then, she's got this weird son that, he's dead too, and he's the mascot. He's Scannie. Scannie is he can just show up anywhere. The lunch lady, you can hear her coming. She's going to be talking and jabbering and saying gravy, which I think was awesome.
All right, so you got to stop right here, and you got to do it, because again, when I wrote that scene, I was like, I was thinking again, 80s and 90s horror, where there's always a catchphrase. Like I was thinking very heavy Freddy Krueger, and I was thinking, he had all those funny little things. And I wrote so many lame lines, and I came up with gravy. And I thought, okay, again, it's absurd. If
Right.
Chris and I can pull this off, that it's going to be cool and fun. So do say gravy in the lunch lady for me. You got to. I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh gosh. But she's did you hear it?
No, say it again.
Oh, okay. Gravy. Oh,
Yeah, it hurts your throat.
I got too much phlegm. Too much phlegm. But that story where my family, when I was younger, would go to a cafeteria style restaurant, and there was a lady at the end, and that was the only thing she said. Gravy. And then the lady next to her would say, raw. And I think that's the only words they knew, and, so that's, I kind of threw that out there to you, and then you just ran with it and
Yeah.
turned it into something freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's
And,
right. 'Cause I asked you, I kept saying, how do we, what's her line? We were texting that
yeah.
back and forth. And I gave you a couple of crappy lines, if I remember correctly. And you came up with the gravy thing. I like it. So, all right. So she's this, she's a sympathetic character at first because
Yeah, really.
so she shows up every day without fail to
Mm-hmm.
serve, but she took all this abuse and it just built up and built up. And then when you realize that her son was, I don't know, suffering with depression and awkward
Yeah.
and maybe, we don't say it, but I mean, you can extrapolate that maybe special needs to some degree.
Well, yeah, yeah, I think so. But um, also, Psycho Juju talked about, how the school still smelled like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
The all the things that happened to all us kids in public middle school. You're going through a lot of crap, and now you got a psychopathic mascot.
Yeah.
That's the undead that's going to wander around blowing your head off. Um,
Right.
so it is again 80s horror gold. I think if we go back in time and throw that out there as a movie, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was thinking of all the stories we've written, I can see that one being a great B 80s movie kind of thing.
well, you got all the stuff. You've got the
Yeah.
the geek that wants to be a hero, doesn't know how. Then you got the hero kid, and you take him out quick,
Yeah.
and hey, this is what, and then bam, and then you got the kid who everybody thinks is a hero and he's a jerk. You've got all the factions represented,
Yeah.
and I like you do that really really well. Um, and I enjoy that, and it reminds me of there's a director that some people might know called Savage Steve Holland, did several movies.
Yeah.
Um, and it reminded me a lot of that because no matter what happened, you break some rules. And then Psycho Juju comments on the rules that you broke, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to break that." You know, um, but you also have some classic horror rules in there. Was a child that's in danger.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the monster who really likes to monologue, and he really does. He loves to monologue. Uh, but then there's all kinds of other like what would be considered jump scares if this was on the screen.
Yeah.
And then there's just some weird, I have this vision in my head of the little clown car with the
Yes.
broken, music, and that it's just so oddly small that these people just keep coming out of
Coming
it,
out of, yes.
and I'm sure it would start out like creepy, like the girl in Ring, and then it just becomes so absurd after
Yeah.
about the 15th, 16th one that you're just going, okay, really?
Right.
And then it becomes funny.
Right.
Um,
Well,
but
when I was doing stand up comedy, they used to do this thing where, comedians, they still do it today, but you deliver a line, and the great comedians will deliver the line, if it falls flat, they'll do it again.
right.
Right? Right? Then they'll do it again, and then you laugh. Then you do it again, you laugh. Then you do it again, they don't laugh, and you just keep doing it until it becomes absurd. I've seen that done well in the past, and I've seen it done terribly. But that's where you're going with that. When all the clowns keep coming out of that little tiny
Yeah.
car, I was like, well, how many clowns am I going to have coming out of this car? And
Yeah. And how are they in there?
that's right.
Is has he done something to them? Is this actually his magic?
Yep.
What is this? But and then you throw in some excellent song lyrics, to describe the situations and where they are. Um, I think I can see this dark, dingy, um, abandoned school.
Yeah.
And then when you threw in the "Hang in There" poster, man, that was awesome. That was
Right.
awesome. And then the comment made after that, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. Um, but yeah, the characters were well rounded. We knew who they were. This is kind of like a lot of these people were like Breakfast Club type
Yeah.
characters,
Exactly. Yeah.
but you fleshed them out really good, where you knew exactly who these people were, and that and that's you do that really well too. Is that you give characters, you flesh them out to the point where we know people like this,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, and
Well, sometimes it's
it
because
even better
I've
for
just changed the name. I'm writing about a real person. I've just changed the name.
yeah, but all of us know or were these
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, and it's like I said, it's a great story. I really like it. Um, and the bad guys are awesome, and then our ultimate bad guy, PJ, is all over it. Um, and he's
So,
very, very evil. I think
yeah.
he's more evil in this story than he has been.
Well, and that's the thing. I've had people tell me, oh man, I love Psycho Juju. He's great. And I don't, I want you to love the character for it being a cool, unique, fun character, but I don't want you to like him. Right. So
Yeah,
what I've been trying to do is show how evil he is, and
right.
like when we did the autopsy of one of his clowns, you
Hmm.
realize through that autopsy just how evil he is. But so you were about to say something before we started recording, and I wanted to hit record and get back to this. Is you were talking about how powerful Scannie is. He's
Yeah.
probably one of the most powerful evil beings in Nevermore Hollows. And then you said he was, you could see Psycho Juju using him more. Well,
Hmm.
obvious, yes, Psycho Juju would love a character like him. Psycho Juju would use him as a weapon all day long.
Oh, yeah. And he can manipulate him really well, because he's got all this stuff built up. He lost his mom. He couldn't deal with it. So there's all these things that Psycho Juju can play on
Hmm.
and really guide this thing to be this, a very, very horrible thing to have to deal with.
Right. And I wanted both of these characters because, uh, sometimes, when you're watching a movie or a TV show or reading a great book, you know,
Hmm.
I like my bad guys to be bad guys. I don't like anti heroes. And so far, we don't
Yeah.
have any anti heroes in Evermore Hollows. But,
No.
but sometimes the monsters didn't start out as monsters.
Right.
Society shaped them into monsters. So when I realized that the lunch lady was such a tragic figure, even though she's evil now, she was this sympathetic character where she got up every day, and then when you realize where we were going with it, you realize that maybe her son had these special needs or whatever, or
Yeah.
even if he didn't, he's still suffering with depression. She's trying to deal
Right.
with that as well as dealing with her own life. And then when she dies, then I realized, well, if we kill him off too, we've already kind of set it up that he's a tragic. Well, he needed to be a tragic character as well, is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. I wanted these characters because so many of our characters in Nevermore Halls are just evil, right?
Right.
But I think, unless I'm wrong, these are probably the first two where they're sympathetic to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see, that she's been doing this day in, day out, been taking all this abuse, and finally she just snaps. And, you know, it's a little bit justified. I
Yeah,
think, and then Scannie was just, you know, I think he was as before he became the ghostly thing. I think he was just, some kid who was wanting to be liked, and
mm-hmm.
everybody loved him as Scannie, so I think that's what he actually became, that just so he can, fit in.
Yeah,
Um, and so now Psycho Juju is going to take it and twist it and run with it even more and make him a even more of a twisted character. Um, but I, he could we could make him even more of a Darth Vader type character, and at one point when he's at his ultimate evilist, that somehow he can be changed back.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
uh, if you want to get real sappy about it. But it's Nevermore Hollow, so probably not.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm curious to see what would he look like after all these years. Is he a ghost, or is he some sort of zombie-like figure? Is he some sort of revenant style figure? Whatever. So at some point we could maybe remove his hat, or his
yeah,
his head, so and see the truth behind there. So
yeah,
all right, well, so this episode, we try to keep our Who the Hell episodes fairly short,
yep.
and this one's about 40 minutes long, which is longer than what we expected. But we've gotten to see the how we came up with Scannie, how we came up with the
Hmm.
lunch lady, and
Yep.
we also got to delve into a little bit of the story itself as a whole, and bring in, we talked a little bit more about Psycho Juju, because we've done a Who the Hell is Psycho Juju, but he's gotten eviler since we talked about that.
Yeah, I think he's building up,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
gaining
So
power.
yeah, yeah, and what we're learning about Psycho Juju, he really doesn't care if he wins or loses as long as there's chaos.
Yeah. Now he is he is a bringer of chaos, and that's where he has fun,
Yeah,
and so if he gets beaten, he'll come back and do it again,
right.
you know. So yeah, I like that. We all need a little bit of chaos in our life.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you and I at the moment have too much chaos in our lives.
Yeah, but you find the peace in the storm.
There you go. Well, that's well said. So look, that's a good place to end then. For all
Yes,
of
sir.
you who are listening, we appreciate you listening. For all
Yes,
of
we
you
do.
who are supporting us, we appreciate you for supporting us. And our goal in 2026 is just growth. Just grow us, man.
Yeah.
Just tell everybody what we're doing. We do it because we love it. We do it because we love you. We take your time seriously. And
Oh, yeah.
and so, with that, Chris, what was it you said that led us to that? You said something about the chaos in the storm. What is it? You got
Find
to,
the peace within the storm.
yeah. So, for those of you who are listening, hopefully you're not got a lot of chaos in your life. And even if you do, there's peace in the storm. So,
Yeah.
we'll end with that.
All
All
right.
right.
See you guys.
See you. Thank you.